In this tutorial, we're going to talk about experimenting within storefront communication flows or campaigns. We'll start from our storefront and we'll click on communications, and then we'll click on flows. Here I have the example abandoned cart flow. If you're not familiar with how to do this, please see our video on installing the abandoned cart flow. The first thing we want to talk about is experimenting on a given email step. So here's an email within the flow. If we click on the triple dots, we can choose Start Experiment. This will automatically clone our experiment and it will set it up in a 50-50 scenario. Now obviously you're going to want to edit a particular email. So you might edit one of them and change the subject as well as the preview text to make it different. And you may even modify the content. You typically will want to experiment on all three of those aspects of the email. If you want to do an additional third option, you can add a variant, and it will bring up, and you can choose, how much you want each of these particular emails to receive. So I might choose 33% for each. Now, during a flow, you may want to perform this experiment for a certain amount of time before declaring a winner. So if we edit the experiment, we can enable what's called a limited experiment. In the case of a flow, you'll choose the number of recipients that you want to test before declaring a winner. Pick something that's long enough to get a representative sample. You'll want to let the traffic build up before prematurely choosing a winner. That might be 1,000, that might be 5,000 or 10,000 people. You can choose how to optimize the winner, and that depends on what you're testing. If you're testing subject and preview text, you may want to optimize first on open rate. Did you grab their attention and get them to open the email? If it's within the content of the email that you're testing, you might want to optimize on click-through rate. Or you might want to just optimize on highest revenue per customer. So you can choose what metric you want that to optimize on. Once the test is over, it will only send future recipients to the winning email. Now you can come back later and go ahead and declare a winner, and that will clean up the test and restore it back to a single email step and remove everything else. It's worth noting that on the resend step, you do have an option to resend the email that won the limited experiment later. So for example, you might have sent the first customer an email that turned out to be a real dud. You don't want to resend that dud email a second time. So this option will allow you to resend the winning email. Let's go ahead and take a look at the difference between a flow and a campaign with the limited experiment. So we'll turn this email into an experiment. We'll edit it. We'll turn on the limited experiment. In the case of a campaign, since it happens all at once, you'll want to choose the percentage of your recipients that should be tested. So let's say we're going to send 25%. So 25% of the customers are going to be sent the campaign, and then you're going to choose what to optimize on, such as open rate. And then you're going to choose when that window closes and send the remaining 75% of the customers. Be careful that you don't choose too small of a window. An ideal one might be 24 hours, so that if you send a campaign at 9 a.m. to 25%, then the other 75% are going to get the winning email the next day. Let's go back to our flow and let's talk about a few other types of steps that fall within the category of experimenting on your content. The next step I'd like to cover is the split step. A split step just gives you a split in your flow. It's not going to calculate anything, but it will let you choose what percentage. So if you have a completely alternate scenario that you're interested in testing, you may want to create a 75-25 split, and then you could take some of that content and you could end up copying it over to the new side and doing further testing on that. Kind of gives you another alternate scenario. When you're finished and you have a winner, you can just simply come in here and you could give all the traffic to one side as a way to permanently shift that without having to lose what you were testing on the other side. So that is often a way to experiment. Now let's look at one other aspect of kind of testing or experimentation, and that's going to be the conditional step. And so oftentimes people will put in a condition and they'll want to shift certain customers to the other side. So for example, what someone has done or not done, maybe you want people who've placed an order with you in the past, you want those people to go down the left side of a particular marketing flow. So if they've ordered from you in the past, I might not want to send them a coupon on this abandoned cart flow. But if they've never ordered from me, I might have a completely different sequence that talks about how great our long-term customer care is, our customer satisfaction, and ultimately I might want to incentivize them with a coupon. This type of conditional split that's testing things keeps you from giving away the farm on an abandoned cart flow by having customers game it, knowing that eventually they'll get a coupon. So these are kind of three different ways that you can add some testing to your marketing campaigns in an intelligent way. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to UltraCart Support.